Namaste, welcome to Eat.Game.Love. In today's video, we're going to be discussing taxes, which is something that's on the ballot this November in a lot of states or a lot of areas, and it's gotten a lot of attention in the past. So I just wanted to explain the economics behind so-called soda taxes or sugary drinks taxes, and why someone would want to do that. I'm not saying you should want to do that. I'm not suggesting you should vote a particular way. I'm just explaining why it is that people want to put taxes on these certain products. So these taxes are called Pigovian taxes after a guy named Arthur Pigot, maybe, or Pigot, I don't know. He was British, probably originally French, I'm guessing. But he was an economist, and he established the idea of, or he's credited with establishing the idea of taxes on things that we want people to do less. And the reason we want them to do these things from an economic standpoint less is because they create something called a negative externality. So briefly, what that means is that in the economy, the free market works when people's actions accrue to them, the consequences of their actions. So in other words, you can think of it like when you touch a hot stove, the stove burns you. And so the consequence of your action, touching the hot stove, accrues immediately and directly to you. So you very quickly stop touching the hot stove because there's no benefit to doing it and it hurts you. The problem is, imagine a situation where when you touch the stove maybe kind of burned you a little, maybe, but it also felt pretty good for whatever reason. We don't have to get into that too deeply, but for whatever reason, it feels pretty good. It just kind of makes your skin a little red when you do it. So that's a small cost, and for whatever reason, you like the sensation of touching the stove, so you touch it. Now imagine that instead of, like, your finger just turns a little red, but the burn that you were feeling in my other example is transferred to another person. So you're enjoying touching the stove, and your finger's just turning a little red, so you're okay with that cost-benefit trade-off. But every time you touch the stove, it's burning for real someone else who's, let's say they're on the other side of the world from you. So that's a problem. That would be a big problem, especially for that person who's getting burned all the time, because you're going to keep touching the stove, and because the total cost of your actions are accruing at least in part to someone else, then you are doing something bad, but you are not getting adequately punished for it, so you're going to keep doing it. So nature and reality in that case would be breaking down. The same thing happens in the economy. There are certain things that you do or can do, and you don't bear the full cost. There's actually the opposite effect where you do something good and you don't get the full benefit, but that's a different topic. So the way that this relates to taxes on sugary drinks is that drinking a lot of soda does create an externality because we have to have health insurance. And we can get into a big long discussion about how maybe we wouldn't have to have health insurance, but the important thing is whether the health insurance is Obamacare insurance or public insurance or purely a private market, nothing I'm about to say changes. So if you have insurance, the whole project of health insurance is based on the idea of getting healthy people to pay for insurance they don't really need because they don't get sick. And then that makes up for the people who get sick. And the more sick people you have, and the sicker those people or the less healthy those people are, the more premiums the insurance company needs to collect from really the healthy people, but from everybody, in order to stay afloat and make a profit or even to break even. So every single bad decision health-wise that someone makes who's in a given insurance pool, let's say you have Allstate, if a bunch of people who have Allstate, does Allstate do health insurance? I don't even know. Let's just pretend they do. So if everybody forget it. United Healthcare. So everyone who has United Healthcare just starts pounding Big Macs. Like they're going to McDonald's all the time and eating every Big Mac they can stuff in their face, like 3 meals a day. That would be a disaster for United Healthcare. And if you were the only person who had United Healthcare who wasn't doing that, you would be upset about it because your premiums would skyrocket along with everybody else's in order to try to cover those costs. That's a problem. So the people who are eating the cheeseburgers in real life, because in real life it's not everybody eating a Big Mac except one person. So basically the people who clog their arteries and get super, super unhealthy by pounding sodas and other bad habits, smoking a lot, drinking a lot, whatever, they are putting those costs onto other people who are in their insurance pool. If everybody didn't drink soda and didn't eat fast food, which I know for socioeconomic reasons is not possible, but just for the sake of argument, if everybody were really healthy, the insurance premiums for everyone could go down. And the people who already are healthy now would not have to continue paying higher premiums to make up for everyone else. Another way of thinking of this is guys who are good drivers, like myself. I don't have a spot on my driving record. I have like one speeding ticket. It happened, 15 years ago now, something like that. So it's been a while. I still pay higher insurance than almost every female I know who I've talked to about this, including ones who have much worse traffic ticket records than I do, and even some who have gotten in accidents. So that is the result of me paying for the crappy decision making of other men who are more likely than women to get loaded and drive the wrong way on the highway and cause hundreds of thousands of dollars in damage and loss of life by getting into a head-on collision. So I am paying for their mistakes. All of this to say that the justification for taxing those sugary drinks is to make the cost of the sugary drinks, which actually are very, very cheap right now, more closely resemble the real cost that those people are putting on other people when they drink those sugary drinks. They're just not dealing with it because a lot of it is being offloaded onto others. So that's the justification. I mean, obviously there are moral justifications for people taxing alcohol and cigarettes and maybe sugary drinks, I don't know. But that's the economic justification. That doesn't mean you have to like the tax. You can take the position that, screw it, I don't care about that facet of economic efficiency. But it's just important, I think, to understand the economic rationale. It's not necessarily a nanny state telling you, oh, you can't do this or you can't do that. Theoretically, it would be perfectly permissible for you to say, I don't want to have health insurance. I'm going to pay for my own health care costs and, you know, I can do all the bad things I want to my body. There are good economic reasons we don't want people doing that, but theoretically you could take the position that that would be a valid option. But as long as you're on health insurance, your bad decisions are affecting others. All right, that is it for this one. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, make sure to eat. Definitely make sure to game, play some good games, and as always, love.